Welcome to It's Just Us, where we have conversations about everything under the sun pertaining to life. I'm your host, Graylin, and I'm excited to talk with you. Yo, so we had to do a fit check. Couldn't do episode one, and this is probably going to be a recurring theme. We're going to make sure that you get these fits. And got this cap, very cool cap. I got it from Zara. I think it's a Ruigi Zara collab shirt, vintage, honor the gift. Some pearled ivory jeans. Shout out to my friends at Pearled Ivory, in Orlando. They're based out of Orlando. And then I got these loafers from ASOS, and then some jewelry, very light. And that's it. Episode one. Check it out. Stay tuned for episode two. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the first episode of It's Just Us, and it's me in front of the camera. I got my guy D behind the camera, and we're just so excited. This is the first episode. We made it here. If you've been on my social media, if you follow me on social media, I've been posting content probably for the last like 2 months, clips, different things regarding this, shooting teasers, all kinds of stuff. And so the fact that you made it, and I know a lot of people have kind of been telling me like they were excited about this, and so it's gonna be good, man. I can't wait. Before we get into, there's a lot of stuff I want to cover, but before we deep dive, I want to one just say thanks for rocking with me. If you know me, if you don't know me, I'm accessible, I guess. You can come talk to me at any time. But yeah, I can't wait to get this thing going. This is again the first episode, and yeah, just can't wait for it. But this is I'm kind of at a weird time, and I say weird, but I feel like it's weird a little bit. I'm old. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I'm not old, but I'm older. I will be turning 31 years old next week. My birthday is January 26th. So if you were looking for an opportunity to give, here's it is right now. You can literally Cash App me, Venmo me, Zelle me. I take money orders. I'm just kidding. I don't. I don't take it. I don't take no money orders. But I turn 31 next week, which is crazy to say. Me and D was just talking about like 10 years, like literally when we were 18. Like, we're not young. I'm not a young adult anymore, even though I be trying to slide into like young adults service. Sorry, Johnny, if you watching this, I be sneaking in, but I'm not technically a young adult anymore. But yeah, man, I'm in a interesting place in my life. Like, getting older. I got engaged last year, literally like a few months ago, and yeah, because now it's like people's like people are always like get so excited for you, like, yeah, man, you got it, like, you're engaged, how you feeling? And I'm like, I feel broke. That's really how I'm just be honest, bro. I just wanted to be honest. Like, nah, I'm excited. Obviously, this is like an incredible season of my life, but with this time, like with this season, I feel like I'm growing, I'm maturing. Like, there's a lot of different things that come with when you step into like a new season. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm having to learn more how to be responsible. I can't spend everything that I make. I have to budget. I feel like budget is like a curse word. It's like cussing. But um, I got a budget now. Like, I got to prepare for the future savings, and I'm like, it's just not fun, man. What happened? I missed the days where like when you was 21, you didn't care. You just blew the whole check. You didn't have no responsibilities. And now I got all of them. I gotta pay for a wedding. Like, I gotta pay for housing and bills, car payment, insurance. The list goes on and on. But nah, it's a fun time. It's just weird. I'm just trying to get used to being older, and I'm not the youngest person in the room anymore. Like, I'm literally 30, so I feel like it's just what comes with that is like I know I'll be dressing younger, but I feel like what comes with that is like you go home, you go to work. My day to day routine is not as like feel like for when you in if you're I'd say if you're 27 and up, you probably can attest to this. Your routine is not as eventful. Your daily routine is not as eventful um, as remember when you were 21 and you were in college and you had a bunch of different things you were doing. I was talking to a college age kid like maybe a couple of days ago, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I gotta do this. I gotta like." We were at the coffee shop, and he was like, "I gotta do this, and I'm about to go do this thing for our team, and then I got like this project I'm working on, and then I got this assignment." And I was like, "Bro, your life it sounds hectic, so I don't miss that part. But then two, it sounds like very creative and like you get to practice a lot of different projects. And so the older you get, and this is not like a bad thing, it's just you learn and create a routine. You get set into a routine. Now you have like a day to day or week to week routine. If you're married, you're spending your rest of your life with one person. That's a part of the routine. And so it's just adjustments and learning and transition and all kind of things. And so um I have ADHD, y'all, so I have like a list. Yeah, D's laughing at me, but I got a full list so that I don't fall all the way off track. But um, that's so I can stay focused. But and I apologize in advance. All my episodes probably will be a little bit sporadic because my brain is scatterbrained. That's why I have this list. But I'm in a season, I guess, of like you could say transition, and I feel like all of us go through seasons of transition, whether it's good, whether it's bad, like whether you are in a cool space, like I was saying earlier, I'm in this. It's funny, but it's hard. I'm trying to figure out how to learn and practice how to budget my money. And if you know me, like if you really know me, maybe you don't got to know me that well. Maybe you just probably can tell off of just my vibe. I don't know if that what that even means, but I in the past have struggled, and I still struggle a little bit with budgeting. Like that's a like so I'm in it even right now. Like this is all in real time. So I'm in the season again because I'm preparing. I have a wedding to pay for in the fall of this year. So the conversations me and my fiance are having are not easy. Like these are real conversations about finances, about how we're gonna like prepare, how we're gonna save, and like if you've ever, I mean, I get it. Some of y'all are young, and you single, so you like, man, I don't care, man. I get it. I don't got nowhere. I don't got nobody to. I don't have nobody to do that with. Like I get to spend it how I want it. You might want to learn how to budget now before you get into a relationship, a serious relationship. Um, Before that, because the conversations are real. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I'm not. I mean, I'm again. I'm all for spending too. Like I really really am. I like to shop. That's my hobby, not habit. It's a hobby. I stole that from my mentor, one of my mentors. But um, yeah, I feel like, but you gotta learn how to budget. You gotta create like a routine and a system because the older you get, one like you just don't know. Like you gotta have something set aside. You should have a savings. But I don't want to go fully deeply down into the rabbit hole of. But I'm not Dave Ramsey, so I'm not finna take you there. There's great resources. Dave Ramsey, Anthony, there's Anthony O'Neill. There's a ton of great resources that can help you with your finances. Probably your pastor, your teacher, your leader, whoever you go to, um, uh, earn your leisure, whoever you like talk to or listen to can help you formulate a budget. But as a young man, as a young woman, you should think about your finances intentionally. And so I say all that to say, like, that's where I'm at in my life. At 30 years old, I'm having to think, uh, plan, and pray, and have hard conversation, real conversations with my fiance about money, and coming from Um, my parents not they're not big spenders. I am. So I'm I can't even like put that on anybody else. I don't know where I got it from. Maybe my dad. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, so that's one aspect of transition. I'm kind of in real time. The other aspect is like again preparing for like literally life change. So life change is um I mean obviously life change looks different for everybody, right? Transition again looks different for everybody. I'm in a season where I'm stepping into marriage. Like that's such a big deal, and I feel like, bro, I'm learning so much. I'm learning about myself. I'm learning more about my significant other. Um, I mean, it's just so many things you learn as you're transitioning. For me, as I'm transitioning and processing to get married, there's a number of things I'm learning, and so I think that's what transition is. Transition is it can be easy, but a lot of times it's usually hard. Like if you're making a move across the country, that's like a real practical transition. I feel like everybody probably has struggled with, or even dealt with, or just like had to endure. Um, I remember when I was when I moved so many times in my life. At this point, like physically moving is not hard for me. I guess like well, it's not easy, but I'm way more comfortable probably than someone who's probably never moved anywhere in their life. They lived in the same city. I moved for the first time when I was like maybe 9 or 10. I moved from Jacksonville, Florida to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I was 9 or 10, and I had to adjust. All right, not only that, even before that, moving neighborhoods. Like I being when we were in Jacksonville, we moved a handful of times, like just to different sides of town. So I kind of learned how to kind of make friends quick in that sense and adjust. But I know that's not everybody's story. You know, everybody kind of again deals and processes transition differently, and so um, but whether you feel like you know how to handle it or not, I feel like the biggest thing for me, or the biggest thing I feel like I've seen or learned in the transition is um take it, I mean take it one day at a time. Like if you are dealing with it don't even have to be physical moving. It could be transition from a job, like it could be transition from uh uh a relationship. Come on, that's like, hey man, look, it's real. Real D laughing because he like, yeah, that's real, bro. You can transition from a relationship because you might be going from one that you thought was good and it really wasn't good, or one that you knew was bad and you stayed in it. That's for somebody. Um, like you know what I'm saying? Like it could be a friendship that's like sour or gone sour, but you're like, it's transition, and I think the thing about it that you have to remind yourself is like, yo, transition is one day at a time. It's one step at a time. You're not. There's no such thing as transitioning overnight. Like there's no real. That's not a real thing. I think with transition, you have to like give yourself grace. You got to give yourself like practical. You got to give yourself time, like in space. When I moved in 2020, I was gonna say I moved to COVID. That's what it felt like because it wasn't no COVID-19 down here, bro. People was wilding down here in Florida. If you lived in Florida during 2020 through 2021, I know COVID was real everywhere. It wasn't real here. Y'all was out here partying, parlaying. I was like, when I was so backtrack, I moved to DC the summer of 2020, got a job up there. I was working, and right after finishing the internship at my church, and yeah, like I moved up there and it was locked down. Like 2020 was already. I'm like I'm like in my mind looking at all the clips, like all of the things that we endured and encountered in 2020. Like people was wearing goggles in the airport, bro. People was wearing like yes, bro. People was wearing like real masks, like army masks. People had on like fatigue. People was being funny and putting underwear on their face. Like 2020 was wild. 2020 was a wild time. And it's crazy to think that's only like maybe 3, 4 years ago. But like, so anyway, I moved there 2020. I moved to DC in 2020. And at the time, I was dating a different person. I was again transitioning to a new, like a whole new space. Never lived in DC. Um, the way I even came through and got the job was all virtual. Mind you, again, this is in the thick of COVID-19, so no one's really getting on. I mean, people are getting on planes, but it's not. People aren't traveling obviously as much because everyone's afraid about the about COVID, mind you. So I do all of my interviews virtually. I'd never gone really to. I knew about DC. I have family in DC and Maryland in the DMV area, so I've been up there a few times, but I had never really fully got to experience DC like as an adult, or really even fully experience it like like really get a vibe for the culture. And I moved up there, and it was a beautiful. Still a beautiful city, still one of my favorites. But I moved up there, and I didn't understand what was going on. Like I moved up there, it's a whole different world, and that was a extremely tough season of transition. Like I remember, as soon as I got there, like again, mind you, this is COVID-19 2020. So the church I was working at a church I was working at was fully virtual. My role technically was fully virtual, so it was very hard to navigate, like just understanding what like my role would look like, because my role, I mean, I was working technically as a youth pastor. No one had ever done virtual ministry. I mean, I know 3 4 years later we've seen it all, and we've been able to, now we understand at least a little bit of how technology is helpful. But in 2020 and 2021, that was unprecedented, like for a majority, especially in the Northeast. So I move up there, and I'm trying to navigate it, trying to figure it out, trying to get a grip on the vibe, and it was just hard. It was just a hard trying to trying to figure that season out. That was a tough season. It was tough. I had to transition to a new job, to a new city. I was in a newly relationship that didn't last long. Um, and it was a rough time. But what I learned in that season, and even then, after I had come around and moved back and all of those things, the it was still the, I don't want to say fog, but the, I guess the process of how to properly transition. I think there's again, I think there's a few things that are helpful in any kind of season of transition, or even season of change, or a change of pace, a change of job, change of career. I think again, one thing is take it one day at a time. Don't try to do everything. Don't try to conquer Rome in a day. Like you have to give yourself margin. You have to you have to be practical. You have to be real. Be honest with yourself. Is this a healthy time for me to transition? Is it, am I in the right headspace to transition? Where I'm planning to move, or even if it's a job, or even if it's a relationship, am I at the mental capacity to handle this? And then if not, then you have to look at where you are in that current state, and really think about, okay, what do I need to do to be prepared for this transition? I think that's one thing that a lot of people miss out on, or think, or don't think about, is they don't think about, or we don't think about the the practical preparation it takes to be, like, you need, transition isn't just like a whimsical thing, I think. And I think a lot of people look at it as a whimsical thing. Oh man, I'm feeling like I'm gonna move. Man, I'm just feeling artsy. I'm gonna move to LA. I wanna jump into this space. I'm gonna move to Japan. And I know people do that, and I know that's our culture, but I think transitioning to something, whether that's moving somewhere or into a job, like something that sticks with me, all the time. Not as an adult, my parents and my mom specifically has said this probably since I was like 17 or 18. Whenever I started really my first like when I first started working, she always says like never leave a job until you have a new job. Like she let me know like early on there's preparation to transitioning. You don't just jump out the gun without any type of margin or like any type of like covering, I guess, without like that's just lack of preparation. Even if it's not like, oh, I'm gonna stay on this job, at least you have to, I would say, and I know everybody's thoughts are different because I get it. Some people are like, well, what if I feel called to go do this and I'm working this job? I totally get that. I'm all for that. But I think what happens is you jump out the gun too early and you just didn't even do the research you needed to do. You didn't take the time. You didn't think about where you were going. You didn't plan. It's like going on a vacation and you didn't prepare for it. You didn't pack nothing. Maybe you packed one toothbrush, but you didn't pack anything else for the whole trip. Now you out. Now you got to go buy everything. Now you got to do stuff last minute. I think transition is a lot like that. So I don't want to harbor on that. That's all I got for transition. But I kind of want to like lean into a different direction with this conversation and talk a little bit about competition. Now I think competition, I think rubs everybody differently. Where we at on time? We good? Nice. Feel like I've been talking a lot. Let's go. Let's go. This is my first time doing this. I gotta get these reps in. But um, but yeah, I think going into a different direction. I want to talk about competition, and I feel like for those who don't know, for those who do know me, obviously like being faith based, like I believe in Jesus to be my Lord and Savior. Like I'm a Christian, right? So, and all my life, I feel like growing up in church, growing up in the context of church and ministry, I feel like competition has always been like people don't like to talk about competition, and it's such a like dichotomy. I feel like because I grew up playing sports, I grew up watching sports, like I grew up competing, um, and I feel like on one end of the spectrum, like I love sports. Like I love watching basketball. I love watching I enjoy watching football. Like me and my pops would sit at this right on this couch and get the snacks and we putting something on the TV to watch. And so on one end, I feel like I just love healthy competition. I don't not like not in a sense of like um you got to beat down your competition or anything like that, but I like competition. I like when people want to work hard to compete. Like there's got to be a winner and there's got to be a loser. I feel like in the church and then just in Christian circles, I feel like there's a lot of like we all win and we do like like you know what I'm saying? Like yeah, participate. Like I'm like yes. At the end of the day, we all win. Like on a bigger scale, like you've said yes to to Jesus, we all win, right? But there's levels. I think like when it comes to practical like stuff, whatever it is, like your level of work, your level of like just we could just use that as an example. Um, I feel like there's like the lack of competition because there is a lack. Again, back to we all win and we're all called and we're all doing great things for the Lord. And yes, we are, but I feel like that's like a there's like a pass to when you do that, that's like a pass to almost not really be good at what you do, you know? I think there's like a pass to really not be good at what you do. You have to I feel like competition is what makes you work harder. Like if you see your boy really grinding, like I played sports growing up. So with my homies and like or when other team members would be like crushing it, if they scored, I'm like, cool, I got to score. Like I just and that could just be even with my teammates. Now, I'm not even thinking necessarily about um the opponents. Although I'm like the goal is to win, but I'm like we gotta. Sorry, you might hear a bunch of sounds in the background. Like my mom is just pulling up. I think she's in the garage, so you hear sounds in the background. It's all good. We're in a house, so you're bound to hear some noises. My dad just popped out right before we started really filming. My mom, I hear coming in. So, but yeah, I remember growing up, we were competing, and again, there's no such thing as both teams won. Like you, that sounds crazy, but I feel like the lack of competition in the church and just in Christian spaces stagnates. Like, I mean, again, we all we have the same goal, but the entirety, I feel like competition makes everybody healthier, makes you stronger, makes you want to get better, makes you want to get better at your craft. Turn the mic off. Makes you want to get better at your craft, makes you want to just level up. Like when you see somebody really crushing it in their space, there's a lot of positives I think that come with competition.